Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and I feel like I was just talking about this. Oh wait, I was the past 2 nights. Um, it was announced earlier today that the rumors are true. DC is actually shutting down. They're getting rid of the Vertigo brand. Um, and a couple news stories up here. Should I have my flash on? Let's see how this looks without it. Got a couple news stories. This one's from Publishers Weekly. DC closes Vertigo. Um, there we go. I'm one of those people that touchscreens don't work very well with my fingers. I don't know what it is. If you ever notice, I really have to fight with them. So DC is shutting down Vertigo, as Publishers Weekly says. They're going to shut it down at the end of the year. And as I mentioned last night before, there's been rumors of this for a while. And it is confirmed that they are going to shut it down. And all DC titles, again, this is from Publishers Weekly, all DC titles will now be published via three age-specific publishing lines. DC Kids, which will serve middle grade readers or readers 8 to 12. The main DC, which is ages 13 plus, and those will be the typical DC, Superman, Batman, etc. And then DC Black, which will be for readers 17 and older. These newly launched lines they'll launch on January 2020. DC emphasized that no books announced under the former imprint structure will be canceled. That's really, really important because, as I've been mentioning, the Vertigo books have been dropping like flies. Border Town was obviously canceled. Goddess Mode looks like it's not coming back. I could be wrong. That Safe Sex book, which was announced but never actually put on the docket to be, it hasn't been solicited, I don't think. So, right out of the gate, their starting line, 2 of them are down, 3 of them are down, if you include Second Coming. So, that was like half their books, wasn't it? Was it 6 or 7? So, yeah, not very good. Explaining the changes, DC publisher Dan Didio said, "We are returning to a singular presentation of the DC brand that was present throughout most of our history until 1993, when we launched Vertigo to provide an outlet for edgier material." Dan, a singular presentation. You just said that there's going to be 3 books, 3 lines, DC Kids, DC, and DC Black. That's not... Do you know what the word singular means? So let's go ahead and pop over to IGN, which has pretty much the same story. DC Comics to end the Vertigo imprint, consolidate the entire publishing line. Again, they're consolidating the entire line, but they're going to have 3 lines. Not quite sure how that works. And what's funny, when you go through these articles, what do you always see? You see Sandman, you see Constantine, you see Doom Patrol here, you see characters from Sandman. They make references to Y the Last Man, Preacher. You don't see these books, these articles, talking about High Level. You don't see them talking about Goddess Mode. Why is that? Here's Jim Lee's take on it. "Our decision to rebrand all content under the singular DC imprint is just that." Oh, this is why I hate Twitter. "Amazing books that comprise the Sandman universe, e.g., will continue." Because they're the only holdover from what Vertigo really was, not NuVertigo. Big plans for year 2. YA, which is, I think, Young Animal, pop-ups, and creator-owned books will continue to be a big part of DC. No books are being canceled or going away. Now, Vertigo eventually became more of a creator-owned, and I'm talking classic Vertigo. It started out with DC characters, but as they branched out, they started doing more creator-owned stuff. Now, with the creator-owned books, back then, Image was just... when Vertigo first started, Image wasn't around yet. Well, actually, yeah, it kind of was. Um, yeah, it was actually. Now that I think about it, Image came out what, 92, so um, it was around the same time. But the seeds for Vertigo in the DC universe, like Swamp Thing and Hellblazer, were already a thing. They just got folded into Vertigo. But as they branched out, they weren't quite as creator owned as Image was, and now you have so many other. Independent companies, like I've been mentioning, Boom, you have Image. There's a lot more outlets that, while they may not be as big as DC, they probably pay a little bit better if you get something that lands. Not everyone's going to be the next Walking Dead, uh, but any little thing like that, is more money to the creator, and that's what people are looking for when they do their creator owned stuff. They're looking to start a franchise, something that they can sell to Hollywood. And while I can't blame them, it is kind of sad that the comic book industry has just become a farmland for Hollywood. But the thing about this is they're going to focus. And here's the thing about Why the Last Man. They're going to focus on, yeah, here's the images. Hex Wives. Forgot about Hex Wives. They're going to take all the Vertigo type titles and put them under DC Black. What does that tell you? Vertigo was a line that was very well regarded. And when they relaunched the new Vertigo, the new editor of the line, I forget what his name is. He said he was going for to cover more social justice stories, and yet that's exactly what we see with pretty much all these. Um, and it's not selling. These books aren't selling. They managed to kill the Vertigo brand. And here, both articles have the tweet from Karen Berger, who was the original editor. She started Vertigo, basically. And she was there until, like, 2013. She was there, like, 20 years. Corporate thinking and creative risk-taking don't mix. DC nixing Vertigo was a long time coming. But hey, we changed the game and we had a blast doing it. Honored to have worked with so many incredible creators and editors, and thanks to all our fab readers. Viva Vertigo, and of course she plugs her own Berger books, which, good on her. The thing is, she left in 2013, and Vertigo wasn't what it was. In fact, it was more or less gone by then. When did DC Rebirth happen? Not Rebirth, the New 52. Wasn't that around 2011? Something like that. Maybe it was a little bit later. But yeah, um, with the New 52, a lot of Vertigo stuff got folded back into DC, and the Vertigo line wasn't what it used to be, and it kind of died a little quiet death, which is why it was such big news when it was brought back last year, and more adult style stories, the mature readers. It doesn't have to be cape stuff. It can be, but stuff aimed at mature readers. And yeah, let's go back to here. Come on. There we go. Yeah, when you see this stuff. Okay, V for Vendetta was never a Vertigo title. It was before. V for Vendetta was before that. But, Preacher, Sandman, again, started before Vertigo, but was wrapped into the line. This is the stuff that people think about. They think about the amazing books, the amazing series that came out of Vertigo. When you go to what it is now, and okay, I haven't read. I'm a huge Sandman fan, and even I haven't been reading the new relaunch stuff. Um, yeah, but you have stuff like this. You have Border Town, you have Goddess Mode, you have Hex Wives, where you had books that focused on the story. They focused on the storytelling. They made characters that you were interested in seeing what happened, and you could address social, commentary in that, as long as it was not front and center and the story was supplementing it. You know what I'm saying? I think of in the Sandman. There's um, which story arc is? I think it's in A Game of You. There's a trans character named Wanda. Her, what do they call her? Her dead name is Alvin, and she goes through the whole thing about her family's basically disowned her, and there's a scene where the witches need to get together, and basically even the moon doesn't recognize Wanda as a woman because Wanda was born a man. And, Neil Gaiman dealt with this stuff. Sirens going outside. Neil Gaiman dealt with this stuff, God, that was what, 25 years ago. Nowadays, if he wrote that story and it came out now, it would be slammed. And that wasn't even the major part of the story. That was like a couple pages. It was part of Wanda's story arc. And, sorry, I live near a hospital, so sometimes down the main road you will hear ambulances and such. But Wanda's story was not critical. She was a side character in that story, but she did have an arc. She did have an arc to the story. And do I spoil? Do I spoil a story from that long ago? Now that I think about it, I think maybe the story arc was the doll's house. But anyway, Wanda ends up sacrificing herself. She gets killed near the end. And when her family buries her, her gravestone says Alvin. But then, the main lead character of that story, writes in lipstick Wanda. So it's well done. It's done respectfully. But it's not right in your face. You know what I'm saying? It's this personal character's arc, and it works out. If that story were to come out today, people would lose their minds because of the outrage culture we have now. And that story, in the hands of a less talented writer, would be the main arc of that story. It would be the main part. It would be Border Town. And Border Town, that's the problem with some of these books. I always say the premises, some of them aren't bad. Border Town does not really have that bad of a premise, but it's executed horribly. It was insultingly racist. I mean, even the characters, except for Quinte, they were all unlikable. Hexwives, became a joke at the end. It almost looked like it was going somewhere interesting that would have conflict where, you would have the characters, at least some of the characters, not want to be at constant war. Nope, men are always bad. And, even though the women are killers, we're supposed to be rooting for them. So yeah, this is no surprise. Because this is the Vertigo people wanted. They wanted the quirky stuff. They wanted the edgy stuff. They wanted the stories. And the fact that they're going with DC Black, as the branding and not DC Vertigo proves that they realize they killed their own branding by deciding to put social justice first instead of the story. So yeah, that's I just wanted to cover this news story because this has been rumored for weeks, and if you're like me, have been reading a lot of these books, I got an ad here for Crash Team Racing. You're not surprised, and personally, I think it's sad to see it go. Because I have I was there with at the very beginning with Vertigo. I was reading Sandman. I was reading Animal Man when they eventually became part of Vertigo. Although if I recall, Vertigo, Animal Man went Vertigo after Grant Morrison left. I think it went with issue 26, or 27, whichever the first issue after he left was. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Just had to share this story. I would say press F, but I think we're all just happy to see it just, taken around behind the shed and put out of its misery. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.